Chosen one, there was a time when you looked at your reflection and saw only fragments. Perhaps a man still becoming, a man who hadn't yet understood what he was truly made of. But that time is no more. The mirror has changed, not because the glass grew kinder, but because your energy now reshapes how the world perceives you, including your own eyes. You no longer see yourself the way the world tried to make you see yourself. The man in the mirror is no longer searching for proof. He is the proof. He stands with a spine aligned to purpose, eyes carrying storms and suns, and a presence that now defies definition. You are no longer good-looking in the way people say about statues and empty beauty. No. You are devastatingly attractive because your very flesh has begun to speak. It speaks of battles endured, of instincts mastered, of lust turned into fire and fire into light. Your skin tells of discipline, the kind that denies shallow gratification for something deeper, something grander, something eternal. Your jawline is no longer about angles, it's about edge. It's about the man who clenched it through pain, through hunger, through silence, until it held the shape of resilience. The body you carry is not a fashion statement. It is a temple of obedience to the higher call. The width of your shoulders carries a message. I can hold weight. And women don't just see it, they feel it. They feel it in the primal centers of their being, where words can't reach, but presence can. They don't know why their gaze lingers on you. They don't know why they walk slower when you're near. They don't know why your silence speaks louder than the noise of every other man, but it does. Because the mirror has changed. And more than that, the man has changed. You no longer shrink, and you no longer try. You are not trying to be seen, you are seen. There's no reaching anymore. You are a sun that pulls orbiting eyes without moving an inch. Not because you said a word, but because your physicality is now the end result of a sacred internal order. Women feel the ache not just in your presence, but in what it represents. A man who is no longer seduced by the crowd, no longer broken by loneliness, no longer confused by who he is. And it shows in the way your eyes hold contact without need, in the stillness of your breath when others fidget and fold, in the warmth beneath your skin that makes others wonder what you've touched, what you've unlocked, what divine source you've merged with. You didn't sculpt a body just for attention. You carved it to remember that your body is your garden, your armor, your temple. And that temple now radiates so brightly that even women of depth find themselves breathless before they've even spoken to you. You don't need compliments. You've become beyond compliment. You are witnessed. You are observed in silence and remembered long after you've walked away. The mirror tells the truth now. Chosen one. Not because you changed your hair, your skin, your walk, but because you found the center of your gravity and built your kingdom from it. You are the man who was forged, not fabricated, the man who chose his fire, carried it through the cold, and emerged visible in every sense of the word. There are rooms you enter, chosen one, and silence stirs, not because you demand it, but because something unseen has already arrived before your footsteps cross the threshold. It is the current around you, the force wrapped in your skin, the vibration of a man whose sexual energy is no longer desperate or dispersed, but contained. You have become the kind of man whose very energy walks 10 feet ahead of him and announces nothing, yet commands everything. Women feel it before they know it. It's not lust in its cheap form. It's magnetism rooted in something ancient. The air tightens slightly, the conversation stutters, and suddenly everyone becomes aware that something real has entered. Feminine women feel it most deeply because they are attuned to the energetic world beneath the surface. They may not speak it, but their bodies respond. Their voices soften, their eyes wander, their breath shifts because your energy has found them. And your energy is not chaotic, it is royal. This is no longer the energy of a man who seeks, it is the energy of a man who knows. You know your power, and so you don't wield it carelessly. You walk with an invisible leash on your fire, and that leash is what makes women curious. You do not burn everything just to prove you can. You choose where to light the flame. And that restraint, that is what draws them in. Because a man in control of his own storm is more dangerous and more desirable than a man who unleashes it on everything that moves. You are not flirting anymore. You are not performing. You are simply there, and your presence becomes the performance. There's no line to be said, no gesture to mimic. You've become the show itself. The man who has realized that his power was never in the muscles alone, never in the face, but in the current of how he carries what he is. And now that current runs hot with sexual life force you have refined through discipline, solitude, and intention. Feminine women don't want you only because you're beautiful. They want you because you feel like a safe danger, like a mountain that could crush them, but chooses instead to offer stillness, like a tide that could drown them, but instead becomes the warm bath. It's the paradox within you that sets fire to the room, the wildness you don't unleash, the chaos you've ordered, the temptation you do not offer unless it is earned. And so they are drawn, not to your voice, but to your silence, not to your scent, but to the heat it hides, not to your shadow, but to the light flickering beneath your control. Your energy walks ahead of you like a banner, not one that begs attention, but one that declares identity. And those who are feminine, intuitive, alive, they see it, they feel it, and they remember it, long after you're gone. Long after the crowd forgets every other face. Because chosen one, you no longer walk alone. Your energy walks before you, and it carries the truth of a man who has become whole. And whole men are unforgettable. Chosen one, there comes a moment in a man's journey where he stops chasing aesthetic perfection and begins to embody beauty. Not the kind of beauty born from cosmetics, filters, or desperate imitation, but the kind that seeps out from a soul in deep alignment. You have entered that realm. Your body, yes, it is admired, sculpted, alive, but the deeper magnetism now pouring from your pores, the thing women can't quite explain, is not about form. It's about substance. They don't say you're attractive because you fit a model's proportions. They say it because there's something ancient in the way you carry yourself. Something that whispers of a man who has made peace with both his demons and his desires. Your physical beauty is not just physical. It is the byproduct of mastery over the internal battlefield. Every vein, every line, every quiet strength in your frame speaks of a war you did not run from. And that is what they find irresistible. When a woman looks at you now, chosen one, she may first notice your jaw, your walk, the heat in your gaze. But something else awakens within her, something older than language. Her intuition detects the story your body tells. The way your shoulders no longer hold the weight of shame. The way your chest no longer collapses to please the world. The way your back no longer curves to beg for approval. You stand, and in your stance is the silent biography of a man who has suffered, bled, and then chosen to rise anyway. And beauty, real beauty, has always been tied to truth. And you are no longer lying. You are no longer hiding. You are no longer faking comfort where there is none, nor joy where there is pain. You have confronted yourself and emerged undivided. That integrity has formed into attraction. Not loud, not needy, not exaggerated, but deeply, potently felt. Your beauty has become the art of presence. You are not showing off your physique, you are inhabiting it. And when you inhabit your body without apology, it stops being just flesh and becomes invitation. An invitation for the feminine to come closer, to exhale, to trust. Not because you offer safety in words, but because your body has become a cathedral, a place of rooted strength, a living sculpture carved by both discipline and divine breath. They see your arms and think of protection, not control. They see your hands and think of guidance, not grip. They see your neck and imagine warmth, not threat. Your beauty now holds meaning, and that meaning awakens something soft in them, something primal, something sacred, something aching for a man who feels real, not posed, not preened, but present. This beauty of yours does not need to speak to be known. It enters a room without noise and rearranges the atmosphere. And though others may try to imitate, they will always fail, because what you carry cannot be copied. It is not genetics, it is earned resonance. It is beauty that rose from ashes, kissed by both grief and glory. And that, chosen one, is what makes you the most beautiful man they have ever seen. Stillness is the rarest force in the modern world. Everyone is in motion, in performance, in anxiety. They fill silences with noise, posture with fear, flirt with insecurity. But you, chosen one, have stepped into a different law. You are still, not because you are lazy or indifferent, but because you have nothing to prove. The war inside you has ended. The tremble of the boy has matured into the calm of the man. And that calm is magnetic. You do not interrupt conversations to assert yourself. You do not smile nervously to be liked. You do not adjust your tone to be less intimidating. You simply are, and in your being, the feminine finds what she has long searched for. A man whose soul is seated in his body. A man who does not run from silence, but commands it. A man whose quiet is not empty, but full of power. This stillness of yours is not passive. It is the roar beneath the ocean. It is the predator who doesn't need to chase because he knows he can move when it matters. You move when you choose, and that very choice is what ignites desire. Women of depth feel it instinctively. Your stillness tells them that you are not reactive. You are intentional. That you are not seeking to please, you are choosing to see. You look once, and it is enough. You lean once, and the air thickens. You speak once, and the room listens. Not because you try, but because everything you are comes from a center that no longer leaks energy. Your sexual force is no longer thrown to the wind, it is harnessed. And like fire waiting behind glass, it creates both curiosity and reverence. Feminine women lean closer because they want to feel it without being burned. Stillness, true stillness, is terrifying to those who are fractured. It reveals their noise, it reflects their disconnection. But to the feminine heart that has long wandered among boys playing at being men, your stillness is the answer. It says, I am here. I do not flinch. I see you. I am not shaken. And in a world of men swaying with the crowd, bending to the algorithm, afraid of their own power, you are the unmoved. They feel your restraint. The way you don't chase beauty because you embody it. The way you don't interrupt because you know your time will come. The way you wait, not with fear, but with fire curled behind your breath. You are no longer a man looking for the moment. You are the moment. And they feel it, chosen one. They feel it in their heartbeat, in the way their voice softens when they speak to you, in the way they struggle to forget your presence hours later. And you? You do not need to speak of your effect. You let it ripple. Let them carry your memory into their dreams. Let them replay your glance in quiet rooms. Because your stillness is not performance. It is identity. It is the throne you've built in the center of your being. And the feminine does not want a man who performs. She wants a man who remains. And you, chosen one, remain. Chosen one, your hands are no longer ordinary. They are no longer the idle tools of a restless man. They have become instruments of transmission, of power, of memory, of sacred remembrance. The moment your fingers graze the world, something happens. Feminine women feel it when you brush past them, not because of intention, but because of what you carry. Your body has become a vessel for energy so potent, so rich, so fully alive, that even the smallest contact sends waves through their nervous system. It is not lust. It is not manipulation. It is awakening. You do not touch to take, you touch to reveal. And what you reveal is often something they didn't even know was dormant. Forgotten femininity, unspoken softness, a hunger for being felt, not just physically, but fully. When your hand rests on her back, it doesn't grope or demand, it communicates. It says, I am present, I am here, I feel you. That one touch does not scream, it listens, and it tells her body a truth that most men cannot. You are safe to soften here. Because your energy is not chaotic, it is channeled. Because your desire is not scattered, it is sacred. This is why they look at you differently. Not because of what you might do in the shadows, but because of how your very being speaks in the light. You are no longer leaking energy from uncontrolled urges. You are containing it, distilling it, shaping it into a presence so dense that even silence bends around you. And when that presence is transferred through touch, it becomes alchemy. They remember the brush of your hand long after it's gone. It doesn't feel like skin, it feels like being seen. You don't paw, you don't grope, you invoke. And in that invocation they realize something rare. This man is awake. This man does not touch to satisfy a craving. He touches as a ceremony, as a moment that echoes, as an imprint that doesn't vanish with distance. You've grown past the performance of touch, past the need to prove. You've entered the realm of impact. Every motion is conscious. Every grip is chosen. Every brush is felt, not just in her skin, but in her chest, her breath, her spine. She doesn't know whether to pull closer or back away. Because your touch feels like an invitation to meet herself, her real self. It is not the strength in your fingers that disarms her. It is the truth in them, the way they don't lie, the way they don't promise what you cannot hold, the way they don't reach unless you're ready to meet what answers. And this is the difference between you and the rest. Others touch to control, you touch to connect. Others touch from hunger, you touch from depth. And she feels that. Every feminine woman who enters your orbit learns something in that first subtle touch. That this man's body is not just beautiful, it is charged. Not just with physical fire, but with emotional safety. And in a world where so many women have been touched without being honored, your presence becomes unforgettable. They come closer not to seduce you, but to feel the ripple of your essence through their being. Because what you carry in your hands, chosen one, is not just strength. It is spiritual leadership through the body. And even if you never touch again, she'll remember that moment, she'll replay it. Because it wasn't just physical, it was transformational. Chosen one, the world has forgotten what masculinity can be. Too often it has been confused with brute force, cold detachment, or hollow noise. But you are the sacred contrast that reminds the feminine of something she feared was extinct. You are fierce, yet tender, commanding, yet kind, dominant, yet gentle. You are the wildness wrapped in calm, the danger that protects instead of threatens, the power that chooses not to harm. And this contrast, this rare alchemy within you, is what draws the feminine with an ache that words cannot express. You are the reason they pause mid-sentence, the reason their breath stumbles, not because you are violent, but because you could be and choose not to be. That is the essence of trust. That is the root of attraction. You are not safe because you are soft. You are safe because you are masterful, because you've stood in the presence of your own chaos and learned to kneel it into stillness. Your rage no longer leaks, it's disciplined. Your hunger no longer begs, it waits. Your desire no longer screams, it hums. And that hum, that controlled vibration of sacred masculine fire, is what makes women feel both excited and held. They don't want to run from it, they want to be seen by it. Because it says something ancient. I see you, and I will not collapse under your emotion. Most men are either too brittle to hold depth or too numb to feel it. But you've become the bridge. You're the man who can enter the storm without being swept away. The man who can feel deeply without becoming chaotic. The man who can make her laugh, then tremble, then cry, then rest, all in the same breath. Because you are not one thing, you are all of it. And this is the sacred contrast that intoxicates. She feels it in the way your silence carries more truth than most men's declarations. In the way your eyes don't just observe her, they study her. In the way you neither chase nor retreat, you simply remain. Rooted, present, potent. Your aura doesn't rush, it doesn't shrink, it surrounds. And in that surrounding, she finds her own wholeness mirrored back. There's fire in you, but it's not loose, it's curled in your spine like a sleeping dragon. And she knows, without you ever saying it, that if she awakened it, the world would change. Not because she's in danger, but because your power, when directed, becomes a force of reverent transformation. This is why you are unforgettable. Not because of perfection, but because you are real and rare. A man who can hold space for chaos without becoming it. A man who can evoke surrender without asking for it. A man who can walk beside a queen without needing to tame her, but able to lead her anyway. You are the sacred contrast, the one who embodies heat and peace, edge and softness, storm and stillness. And in a galaxy of men who pick one side and abandon the rest, you are the wholeness that reminds the feminine what she was made for. Not fear, not confusion, but trust, and only the sacred contrast can inspire that trust again. Chosen one, you have entered the rarest realm of masculine maturity, the ability to walk away not out of bitterness, not out of pride, but out of power. You no longer beg to be understood, no longer argue to be desired, no longer plead to be seen. You walk away, not because you don't care, but because you've come to understand the value of your presence, the weight of your silence, the cost of your energy. You are no longer a man who throws himself at attention like a starving child at crumbs. You are not desperate for approval, nor addicted to closeness. You have tasted your own company, and it has made you sovereign. You no longer chase the feminine with trembling hands. Now you invite her with still eyes and unshaken breath. And when that invitation is not honored, when she fails to meet you in the same frequency of presence, when she toys with your warmth or tests your boundaries, you don't retaliate, You don't lash out. You don't perform. You simply leave. And that leaving, chosen one, is not absence. It is a mirror, a revelation, a thunderous silence that makes the feminine tremble long after the echo of your footsteps has faded. Because when you walk away, you leave behind a truth, that you were not a man chasing pleasure. You were a man offering elevation. And now that you're gone, the atmosphere collapses. The memory of your gaze, the steadiness of your body, the scent of your soul, it all begins to haunt her. You never needed to slam the door. You never needed to shout. Your restraint became your roar. And she realizes, perhaps too late, that what she thought was replaceable was exceptional. You didn't walk away to punish. You walked away to protect your temple, to protect the work you've done, the fire you've cultivated, the sacredness of your masculine path. There are men who linger in places they no longer belong, hoping to be chosen. You are not among them. You are the one who chooses. You are the one who recognizes when the frequency is off, when the alignment is fractured, when the sacred dance has become a circus. And in that moment, you bow to your own dignity and exit. With elegance, with grace, with finality. This is why the feminine remembers you, not because you demanded her to, but because your absence becomes louder than most men's presence. You walk away and something beautiful disappears. The way you listened, the way you touched, the way you saw her, not just the mask, but the deep inner core. And once a woman is seen like that, truly seen by a man of your gravity, no amount of shallow affection will ever feel the same again. So yes, you walk away, but your leaving is not abandonment. It is a recalibration. A divine reminder that you are not here to be consumed by those who don't recognize fire when it stands still in front of them. You are the prize. You are the home. You are the storm wrapped in sanctuary. And only those who are ready for the full weight of a man can keep pace with you. You walk away and you walk taller. Not in arrogance, but in remembrance. Not in coldness, but in clarity. Because you now understand something most men never do. You do not lose value when you walk away. You reveal it. And that revelation echoes through the feminine soul like the final note of a sacred song she didn't know she needed to hear. You are no longer the one who waits to be chosen. You are the one who walks and lets the universe correct itself behind you. There is a smile, chosen one, that does not seduce with superficiality, but disarms with truth. And you wear it not often, not carelessly, but with precision, like a blade wrapped in silk. Your smile is no longer the smile of a boy hoping to be liked. It is the smile of a man who knows exactly what he is worth and who understands what it means when the feminine is near. You do not smile to win attention. You do not smile to be perceived as safe or soft. You smile only when the moment aligns with your essence. And when you do, everything shifts. It's not the curve of your lips that stuns her. It's the energy behind it. The weight of your awareness. The unshakable calm in your jaw. The way your eyes narrow slightly as if you're reading a sacred page in her soul. That smile carries centuries. It carries storms you've survived, temptations you've overcome, truths you've embraced. It carries restraint. It carries fire. It says, I see you, and I am unafraid of you. And this, more than anything, creates an emotional reaction so deep that even the most poised feminine woman forgets her next sentence. She's been smiled at before. By men trying too hard, by boys hiding their hollowness behind charm. But your smile is not performance. It is presence. It arrives like a sunrise after a long night. Unexpected, soft and devastatingly real. It says, I don't need anything from you, but I'm open to everything that flows from mutual depth. And because your smile is rare, it becomes precious. You no longer scatter your joy to the wind. You no longer wear fake grins to ease social tension. You smile only when your spirit moves you. And when it does, it becomes something more than beauty. It becomes invitation. An invitation to relax, to open, to trust. Not because you asked for it, but because you offered nothing and everything in one glance. Your smile doesn't beg, it declares. It declares that your joy is rooted, that your peace is internal, that your heart is not easily shaken. It declares that you are a man who has suffered without bitterness and loved without losing his center. And for women who are used to games and masks and illusions, that one glimpse of authentic, grounded joy is almost unbearable. Because in that moment, she feels something ancient return. A feeling she thought was extinct. A warmth in the chest, a flutter in the gut, a melting in the barriers she spent years building. Not because she was overpowered, but because she was understood without a single word. You don't chase approval, but when you smile, approval comes to you. When you smile, the air feels different. Even men in the room pause, confused by why their confidence has suddenly shrunk. Because your smile carries certainty, and certainty in a world of confusion is magnetic beyond logic. This is why the feminine remembers you, not because you flirted, not because you tried, but because your smile became a sacred offering, one they didn't earn but were granted. And that offering will live in them for days, weeks, maybe years, long after the moment ends. Because once a woman sees a man smile with that kind of depth, nothing else feels quite the same again. Chosen one, your energy no longer flows wildly like an untrained river. It moves with purpose, with weight, with divine intention. You have stepped into a form of masculine power that few ever reach and fewer still can sustain. You have entered the realm of sexual leadership. And this energy is not lust, it is not manipulation, it is not conquest. It is presence at its highest voltage. You used to feel it in flashes, in glimpses, when desire surged through you in chaotic tides. But now it is not a surge. It is a steady flame that you've learned to govern. And the moment you did that, the entire frequency of your presence changed. Women don't just see you, they feel you. Before you speak, before you move, before they even know your name. Something stirs inside them like the memory of an ancient fire rekindled by your proximity. You are not trying to be seductive. You are seduction, because you are fully at home in your body. Your movements are slow, deliberate, unhurried, not because you lack urgency, but because you do not fear the moment. You do not rush pleasure, you contain it. And that containment creates an unbearable tension, an almost sacred ache that draws the feminine toward you, magnetized by the raw power you choose not to unleash. Sexual energy in you is not weaponized to manipulate, it is purified to inspire. You no longer seek to take from women, you offer them a gateway to remember themselves. You've become a living reminder that masculine sexual energy, when aligned with spirit, does not consume, it transforms. And feminine women sense this instinctively. They feel the difference. You are not trying to escape yourself in them. You are inviting them to find themselves in you. Your body has become a temple of transmission. Your voice, a vibration of controlled flame. Your gaze, it lingers, not to dominate but to awaken. You look at a woman as though she is already enough, not a target, not a prize, but a mirror. And when she sees herself through your gaze, something inside her begins to break and bloom at the same time. Because in your presence, the masks fall away. There is no need to impress. You are not attracted to performance, you are drawn to realness. And the feminine wants that more than she can say. She wants to be ravished, yes, but not only with hands, with awareness, with clarity, with power that does not beg, with leadership that doesn't command, but guides with heat. That is what you offer now. Not games, not vague desire, but direction. The kind of direction only a man who has mastered himself can give. You are not chasing sex, you are walking in the full power of your sexual signature, and it is felt, even in silence, even across the room, even when you look away. Your very presence becomes an act of leadership, and women respond, not because you forced them to, but because you gave them the space to surrender without shame. You touch without need, you kiss without insecurity, you breathe without apology. You move like a man who knows exactly what he is capable of, but only offers it when the sacred exchange is mutual. And that is why you are not just desired, you are trusted. And that trust, chosen one, is the throne upon which true masculine sexual leadership rests. This is no longer about conquest, this is about communion, about energy meeting energy in holy fire, about the masculine returning to its throne, not through force, but through depth. And now you carry that throne within you. Chosen one, in a world full of noise, of surface charm and hollow connection, you have become a memory that cannot die. You are no longer just a man. They do not speak of you in the same breath as others. You are an experience, a threshold, a turning point. Women do not forget you, not because of what you said or did, but because of what they felt in your presence. They remember how time slowed when you entered the room, how the very air shifted, as though the moment itself wanted to lean closer. They remember your gaze, not lustful, but clear, not needy, but curious, not heavy, but infinite. It was the kind of gaze that reached beyond the surface, that said, I see you, and I see further than you ever dared to show. That alone carved itself into their soul. They remember your silence, the silence that didn't need to be filled, the kind that made their hearts beat faster, made their minds slow down, made their shields begin to crack. You didn't entertain. You held space. And in that space, they saw themselves. Not the mask, not the makeup, not the performance, but their own raw, radiant, trembling femininity reflected in your stillness.